He told me that the good soldier kills without thinking of his enemy as a human being. In the moment he sees him as a fellow man, he's no longer a good soldier. And I was a good soldier. God help me.
The next entry into the iconic Battlefield catalog is here. Coming off a pretty awful beta reception, a poorly received and outlandish trailer, a delay, and various conflicts such as a lack of authenticity, EA straight up telling people if you don't like the game, don't buy it, social justice warrior debates, issues of gender discrimination, and bugs like white man, BF5 was actually in the red zone for a lot of us and easily could be seen as the Battlefield game that should have failed. But somehow, it's actually really good. As a longtime Battlefield player, I demand a lot: exciting multiplayer conquest action, an interesting single-player campaign, fair progression, and great maps to play on. I also expect all the multiplayer maps to be free, and I hope for no microtransactions. And you know what? That's actually what I got with Battlefield 5. BF5 surprised me by delivering some of the most exciting first-person shooting that I've played all year, while washing away my worries from its questionable lead-up in beta. I want to start with the single-player War Stories mode, something that a lot of us were worried about. As we all know, many single-player campaigns since Bad Company 2 have been incredibly hit or miss. Some of them have been downright awful. War Stories provides 3 chapters today, as well as an introductory mission and one final war story not available yet. It's essentially a mini-campaign. Stories that step you into the shoes of various war heroes, and it lasts about an hour or two depending if you want to speed through them or go with a stealthy approach. To be honest, I was shockingly surprised at the quality of 2 of them, Nordlys especially. In this small narrative, you play as a Norwegian resistance woman who is infiltrating a water plant under the cold darkness of an aurora borealis to save her mother and get out alive. The cinematography and presentation are fantastic, and it's clear that DICE put a lot of work into crafting these little mini narratives because all the pieces are really here. Well-paced action and gunfights, you've got some stealth, you can drive vehicles, and approach the objective from any angle, gameplay design. The chapters are brief, and unfortunately there's really not much else to it, but this war story in particular does a really good job at inviting you in, just for a little bit, to experience the lives of the person it features. And you know what? It's a really compelling little narrative. It's unfortunate that they come to a conclusion so quickly, as I wanted to learn more about Slovag and some of the other characters from the French mission. It's certainly a trade-off, but I think the War Stories format has the potential to allow gamers to get a small taste of a campaign without making it overbearing. On the flip side though, DICE could have easily taken one of these stories and fleshed it out into an 8-hour campaign that actually made people invested into the conflict more than just temporary. The last war story available right now though, called Under No Flag, shows how this format can go wrong though.
I'm chucking me guts up over here, and you're just strolling off.
Oh, Bridge, you're liven yourself up, come on. There's a lovely little ice cream shop down there and I'm treating you to a cornet.
It's cringy, it rushes into the action without setting anything up, a common thing that can go wrong when your stories are so short like this, and Billy Bridger and his commanding officer are incredibly unlikable and straight up whiny. Let's hope we see less of this type of war story. Overall though, I have to say that War Stories actually has some real potential if you're willing to let slide the development of a proper narrative by allowing yourself to peer into the snapshot of a much smaller conflict, and I think that's fine if they do it right. They're pretty similar to what was offered in Battlefield 1, although they are leagues better done in this one. Jumping into multiplayer, I wasn't sure what to expect from BF5 given that the beta wasn't particularly good. Thankfully, the 2 maps offered in the beta are easily the worst of the bunch, which is weird, and the multiplayer in general is surprisingly fantastic. Battlefield 5 offers the perfect mix between squad gameplay and arcade run-and-gun shooting. Equipped with a bevy of new movement options such as the ability to shoot while prone and backing up, run while you crouch, and slide easier, it makes the combat feel really engaging and fast-paced.
I'm helping you!
Combat in a Battlefield game has never been this fast-paced, and while some may argue that they want a more simulation-style experience akin to the first BF games, this is not the title that's going to give you that. Battlefield 5 has the twitch shooting of a COD game, although it feels nothing like it, combined with the strategy of modern Battlefield games with its improved squad system. First and foremost, the gunplay in BF5 feels incredibly good. I mean, this game feels fantastic. You have the perfect amount of ammunition, and the health regeneration system feels just about perfect, much better than the beta. Players can no longer regen to full, and can use a med pouch with the C button if you're playing on PC to heal up. They can also be healed by the medic class and grab additional med kits that are spawned at control points. Now this is a nice and subtle new feature that encourages players to gravitate towards objectives, which is the point of a Battlefield game. Promoting squad play is the ability for any squad member to revive a fallen squad mate, which is a really nice feature, and if you're playing a meta class you can A, do it faster, and B, be able to revive members of any squad. It's the perfect symphony that Battlefield has always needed, and it gives a huge reason to play medic, which is probably why they're the most played class right now. But reviving a teammate offers no invincibility framing, so if you're caught out in the open by a sniper, he'll take your head off while you do so. So there's some actual decision making here, some real play, as always. Has to ask yourself when you should revive someone and when to let your squad mate die so that he can just respawn on you by leaving combat for a second. It's a nice process to go through as a Battlefield player. In my experience, this has encouraged much more integrated and social play, not within just squads, but the entire team in general. It really goes a long way to foster at least some sense of companionship on the battlefield, and is probably the single best change in Battlefield 5. You really feel like you have to work around your team now. Stick around a medic at all times or a squad mate, which promotes the feeling of teamwork that BF games have always strived for. Some of the past ones have never nailed though. Unfortunately, there are a lot of bugs and clipping issues still with this system, especially when reviving near objects or walls, but the performance overall is fantastic. Unlike Battlefield 1's poor optimization and Battlefield 4's horrendous netcode at launch, BF5 actually runs really great on the server side and from a performance standpoint. On Ultra, I was getting about 120 frames per second on 2K native resolution, and the frames never dipped, ever. I was shocked. You can find my system specs down below in the description. The graphics menu is also fantastic, as per the usual with the DICE game. There are a literal crap ton of customization options, disability features, and just about every graphical setting you could possibly dream of. The maps of this game are also incredibly fun to play on, much more so than the beta. Maps in BF5 are arguably smaller than BF1, but I would argue that they're a lot more centralized too. Control points in Conquest are furiously contested, which creates immediate action when spawning in. There's a lot less downtime in BF5, and for some people that's going to be a really good thing. Now, one of the most debated elements to BF5 is the feeling that it's too fast-paced and streamlined. It's true, DICE is most certainly trying to make this game playable by anyone, but I would argue that it actually works this time around, unlike Battlefield 1, because gone is grenade spam, gone is gas spam, and gone are behemoths, which are number 1, 2, and 3 of the most frustrating gameplay integrations from that game that I did not like. So BF5 feels a little bit more balanced this time around. Guns have a great sense of weight to them as well, and I go on a limb and say that it's never been this good in a Battlefield game. The controls are so snappy, and it feels so good. The guns are appropriately statted, there's a good amount of visual feedback as usual, and combined with the fluid movement system, BF5 is simply a joy to play. It feels fantastic. Progression is also a highlight, and weapon variants are thankfully gone from Battlefield 1. Thank God. Each item can be modified using company coins, which you receive from playing the game, completing assignments and daily missions, and by leveling up your class. You can spend these on new skins for your guns and characters, acquiring new gear, upgrading your weapons, and enhancing your vehicles. This is not the for money currency. In fact, it's not going to be introduced for a while, and this is a graph that shows you exactly what you can buy with that, and it's only cosmetic items. So I think it's looking pretty good right now. Each class now has a skill tree as well that allows you to customize your character a bit, which gives a little bit of diversity to each player experience. For instance, with Assault, you can specialize in various hip-fire modifiers or get some bonuses to shooting on the move. While the effects are really quite subtle, it's nice to have some say in the way you play. In addition to, each weapon in class also has a nice progression tree so you can see all the cool stuff you're going to be getting along your way. Customizing your character is also a nice feature, allowing you to pick your outfit, face, and various face paints from this menu here. Again, it's not revolutionary, but it adds some nice personalization to the experience once again. All of your character and weapon customizations are stored and accessible in the company menu, and thanks to the quick and snappy menu interface, it makes navigation painless, though it does take digging through about a half a dozen menus to get to the weapon customization screen. Thankfully though, you can actually customize your weapons in the game. It's crazy, right? And when you're in that match, Battlefield 5 is incredibly beautiful to look at. Some of the maps like this one here are drop dead gorgeous and full of color, while others are shadowed in the bleak aftermath of a recent war, just like this one. Is it an authentic World War II experience? Definitely not. Is it historically accurate and true to the time period? Probably not all the way. But is it fun and a nice visualization of fiction? Definitely. I think EA and DICE are going to learn a lot from Battlefield 5 and how not to get caught up in the various crapstorm PR blowups that it did this time around. They make some awesome games, let's be real here, and Battlefield 5 actually won me over. It's got a great single-player setup that's easy to digest, great gunplay and precision shooting. The improvements to movement and healing in the meta class go a long way also in making each match feel alive, and it looks and runs fantastic. And with Tides of War coming soon to bring in more content as well as Firestorm, I mean, I can truly say that BF5 actually might be the shooter of the year. And that's ironic given how a lot of us were truly turned off by its lead up. So there it is, guys. There's my thoughts on BF5. I was pleasantly surprised with the transition from the beta, which was horrible in my opinion, to the final product, which is a great deal of fun. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have a comment on BF5, drop it down below, and we'll see you guys in our next video. Peace, love, and happiness. Until then, you guys take care.